Hello and welcome back to Pulliver, a BMX podcast with Chris Doyle. I wanted to take a quick moment of appreciation and say thank you to everybody who has liked and commented and subscribed and reached out with nice messages and really just embraced this little podcast that I'm doing. I read all of the comments and I take all of the suggestions to heart. And again, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to all of the people that people keep suggesting. I get a lot of the same names over and over again. I'm not going to say those names, but I do this as a hobby, and I really do want to get to all the the heavy hitters that you want to hear from, but I guess it just takes time, and I just kind of do these when the opportunity presents itself. So again, just want to take a quick moment to say thank you to everybody for liking what I'm doing. Anyways, on to our next guest. Next on the podcast is a friend of mine, a guy that I've known for over 20 years now, Ryan Biz Jordan. Biz and I have had careers that ran parallel for a number of years, and a guy who has really stood the test of time, yet, in my opinion, is still one of the most underrated riders of all time. I've seen Biz, kill it in big, high-profile contests, dirt contests. I've seen him do well in park contests, and as of recent, really excel in the street world. He's always been a guy who's done things his own way and has certainly earned the respect of riders, old and young, around the world. And I'm really proud that Biz is still a professional BMX bike rider. I'm still in awe of the things that he's able to do, and he's still pushing himself, and it's really impressive for a guy that's now pushing 40 to really be standing out in that street world. And you can see this, you can see what I'm talking about in the newly released Headlights video. I tend to talk too much in these intros, but this was a fun interview. Just two friends chatting, talking shit, sharing a few memories, a few laughs. This is Ryan Biz Jordan. Enjoy. Now we're up and running. Finally. I know it. I'm sorry. It takes me forever.
It's okay.
How does my setup compare to Dennis Anderson's?
I mean, Dennis has no video, but I'm sure he has an iPhone. But
yeah,
they both get the job done.
Yeah, this is a pretty crude setup, but it actually works pretty good. Yeah. How many podcasts have you done?
Not that many. It just seems like it because I did Dennis's not too long ago, and then I did the Come Up years ago, and then but even if I was like, we were like, oh, should we even do this? But Dennis he won't know the same thing that we've experienced,
right.
Or maybe different audience that might watch yours, so.
Yeah, so you haven't done a podcast with a guy that you've known for over
20
years.
I haven't done one that's been able to ask me questions about stuff that I've kind of done earlier in my riding career,
Oh shit, well,
because we're goddamn pushing 40 now, so it's kind of hot. You don't get too many of those.
We are, in fact, pushing 40.
Yeah.
But where are we right now? We're in Newport Beach.
Newport Beach, California.
Dude, this is nice, man. This is really nice out here.
Yeah.
I'll let the people know that we just took a nice little ride on the beach and had a nice dinner.
Yeah, batting way above my average.
Yeah, dude, it's nice out here. But you lived in Corona.
Yeah.
Which is the 909. That you lived out there for what,
Well, that's where I lived when I first moved out here from Massachusetts, was Corona. Yeah, and lived out there from 2001 to 2012. No. Yeah, 2012, 2013.
But those were good times.
Yeah,
I mean,
complain. It was awesome. Amazing. Best of times.
Yeah. You probably meet kids out here all the time that don't even know that you're from New England, that you're from Massachusetts.
Oh, probably most BMXers don't, because I'm almost at the halfway point where it's been the equal amount of living in each, you know what I mean? Well, from when I started traveling, so I've almost been gone as much as I've lived away from there, or lived there.
Yeah, when people ask where I'm from, I do not say North Carolina anymore. I'm always like, I'm from Pittsburgh.
See, I still say Massachusetts. We have pride.
Yeah, well, yeah, man, you really threw me off there. We have pride. So much pride that you left.
No,
to move out there.
those winters, man, and the industry ain't there. Tell you what, my career would have ended 12 years ago if I didn't move.
You think?
Oh, definitely, for sure. Enz always says that too. You move, add an extra 5 to his career.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I was really surprised that you never did live in like Pennsylvania. Like you spent some summers with us up in Erie. No, I was really surprised you never moved to Erie because you were really close with like Chris Bennett, myself, and like Cesny and all those guys. Like I was always like, oh.
I don't know, because then wintertime came around and I'd stay out here and I'd be like, man, this is pretty cool, like it was.
Yeah, but
I did spend a lot of summers out there, so. But.
That's true, yeah.
And I always got girlfriends in California too, so I think a lot of that like played into it and kept me out in California too, So,
I gotcha.
So.
But I mean, we still rode a lot. Like me and Chris and Mike, we still rode. It was like indoor skate parks.
You guys probably rode more than we did out here.
Yeah,
you guys are at the shebang every day or something like that. But
shebang, Section 8, studio.
That was always the dream after high school. It was to move to Pittsburgh. That was like what I wanted to do.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, it's no Newport Beach.
I'll say that. I'll take where I'm at now. Over Erie.
I mean, I like living in Pittsburgh, but I mean, like, it's been a long time since I've been to California now, and like just pedaling down the beach, I'm like, oh my god, like this is.
Yeah, looking at the ocean, it soothes you. It does something, like it does.
So you moved out here strictly to like better your career, further your career.
Oh yeah, and following Jerry and just, so it was, I don't know. I think it was just the winter thing mostly. Like, I'd say that was like, entices everyone to come to California, just having no winter,
Yeah. I want to say congrats on Headlights.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
I think, in the last year or so, probably the biggest DVD to come out. Even though I don't know if it ever came out as a full, like iTunes, a physical DVD, but I bought it on iTunes and I was like,
it's on YouTube now. So
okay, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
they just released they're releasing a part every Friday, and they just released mine.
Okay, so I guess I didn't need to buy it on iTunes.
If you don't want to support BMX,
but I like to support.
But it's all right because Ride went under anyways. So and then it was supporting Ride. So now it's released on our BMX.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so go to YouTube, watch Biz's part. Super good part, and I've always been like really proud anytime you put something out because like you're mostly in the street world now. Whereas we'll get to your dirt jumping career here in a little bit, but like it's so much harder, I think, to age in the street world as opposed to like you can be a trail rider for the rest of your life. I mean, because it's a little bit more forgiving on your body, but like streets gnarly.
I don't know. It just came. It was easy. It didn't seem that hard for me. Like to. And the stuff I do is kind of a little different than I'm not like I see like a lot of the stuff the kids do on the street. Like I can't like jump around, grind, ding, 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 180s out, like all that stuff. So I try and take the stuff I know from racing or that kind of background and apply it to street, and it kind of works, like
your spot usage.
That's a main thing too. I have to look outside the box. You can't take me to something and I'm just going to ride that like ledge or anything. Like even if you take me to like a famous spot, I look outside the edges. Like even in my headlights part, we all went to that one spot in Arizona that has the rails on the top,
Yeah.
And I was like surprised to find something there that no one else has done, and I was like, no, so.
Well, yeah, a lot of kids get like super excited when they see like the spot they've seen in 100 different videos and magazines and things like that. But I think thinking outside the box has definitely helped contribute to your career.
And it's not because I have to think outside the box, you know what I mean?
Well, dude, there was that one spot. It's like the ways. It looks like a playground.
Oh yeah,
and you're like riding it like a set of trails.
Yeah. But that's something you would do there anyways. But that was actually way harder than it looked maybe. Like it took me a long time. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, because you're curving and it's pulling you out and you're trying to stay on the skinny path and then you're jumping and trying to curve again, and then it was definitely harder than I thought.
When I watched the part, I was like, oh, that looks like the type of thing I would ride. Like, that, I'd be into that.
You do it for sure. It just takes a minute to figure,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always thought your spot usage was like always on point, and like the creativity of it all. And like, you might not be doing the hardest tricks, but everything you do looks like really clean. It's like no sketch. It's like,
thank you.
You pop the trick perfectly how it's supposed to look.
I figure if I'm not going to do the most things, like if in that part, double pegs. I don't even do an ice pick in that whole part, and I love doing ice picks. I think it's double pegs and one Smith, all double pegs, but I don't know, I just try and do the double peg on something different, or do it the best I can, you know what I mean? Like I try not to do anything sloppy, Yeah,
well, it works out. Yeah. And like people really take notice.
I'm psyched that the feedback has been amazing.
I can't stand like people just trying to fit so many tricks into like one little spot. It's like,
I'd rather have you do the one thing you can do the best instead of 5 things sloppy.
Yeah, the less is more mentality, I guess. But yeah, you definitely have that advantage of like coming from a trail background to like the things that would scare a normal person, like a normal street rider, might not frighten you at all. Like it definitely gives you, I think, a little bit of an advantage. But you're right. You're absolutely right in that like street seemed to come really natural to you. Because I remember one summer, I think maybe the summer of 2000 or 2001 even, and you were like doing bunny hops on like the roller at the trails. It's like, I'm sorry, you were doing like bunny hop tail whips on the roller at the trails, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty crazy. Like,
it seems it's not a big deal now, but I remember back then it would be in like you and Bennett like tripping out and stuff, and I remember I filmed it for the video, and like I remember you guys telling me people flipped out Bennett did at the premiere or something for Up in Arms or whatever it was.
You do a line through the trails, and then like it looks like you're just stopping, and then you kind of like air up a lip, and you come back and you tail whip the roller.
Yeah.
And no one, I think like maybe Osato was like...
It was more like there was a few guys doing that, but it would be more like, the freestyle like guys, like Osato or something. Yeah.
So it definitely did seem like it came pretty natural to you. And then at the East Coast Terminal when you did the bunny hop truck driver, like no one was really messing with that stuff yet. And I still you don't see a lot of flat ground bunny hop trucks. I'm sure...
No, you do.
Really?
Yeah. Like Verkini and Garrett and Chad and those guys, they'll do them in a line, and it's pretty. I love seeing it, just how good they pop, like carrying speed and pop it in a line and do it real good,
Yeah.
But I swear, like even that day, I was like, fuck, that was the best one I ever did, because it was like, lucky threw down some money and stuff. So that was still like that feels like yesterday, which is crazy.
That would have been like 2002 maybe?
2002, yeah.
Yeah, in the parking lot of East Coast Terminal in Binghamton, like Biz does the bunny hop truck drive. And it was like popped super high, and like I remember like maybe it was Frymouth. Was Frymouth there? Someone of that nature was like, what the fuck was that? So we talked about like your street riding, but let's go back. Let's talk a little bit more about I met you at the Christmas Classic in 1997.
Yeah.
And this was like my...
breakout year.
This was like when I was 16 years old, and you must have been 16 as well. Yeah. And I made a final, and I got a sponsor. And then like the whole year I was sponsored, and I was doing contests. Yeah. And then the very next year, pretty much the same thing happened to you. It was
the same exact thing. I got the same exact place as you too.
Yeah, you got 7th place.
Yeah, I got 7th place, yeah.
But I remember... even that first year, though, I remember you in practice. I remember you did a bar catch bar.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that dude's good. But for whatever reason, you didn't make finals. But then the following year, it was like, dude, this guy's legit. And I remember seeing your name. I was looking at the qualifier sheet.
Qualified 12th.
Qualified 12th. And I was like, who's Ryan Jordan? And I was like, oh, that's that kid. That's Biz. Like, I'd heard of you. I was such, as we were like props nerds. And you had a clip in like the Massachusetts scene report. And I was like, oh, I recognize that dude. So talk a little bit about growing up as a trail rider / dirt jumper, a little bit about your scene. I know like Jerry Bagley was one of your boys growing up, and just coming up in that New England scene, which is a pretty like well-respected scene. Like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
got
I
a
don't know,
pretty
for
rich
us-
history.
yeah, for us, I thought, well, I'll go back later. But yeah, where it started, like, as far as I can remember, I've always been on like a bike jumping shit. And then we'll fast forward a bit, like, yeah, I was always jumping stuff because I had an older brother, so I was like always on a bike, always jumping stuff, remember. And then we had a local BMX track up the road called Wakefield BMX. And we'd pedal there and ride there. And I started going there real young. And Jerry was there, and Jerry was probably like 13. So I was probably like 10 or 9. And I'd see him then, and he was like the local badass at like 13 already. And then I just got to know Jerry, like from the track days, And then slowly, like he was friends with my brother a little bit, so they'd like come around. We had like a little crew that started, and Jerry started jumps near his house. And then that's the first I seen Jerry. Okay, so I seen Jerry dig a jump, and then he went to build the next jump after it, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, I didn't understand like how like a rhythm section would work. I didn't think you could carry speed to get that next one,
Yeah.
Like I still remember that being like, what are you doing? Like, he was like, I must have been like 12 or 13, and yeah, he was building a rhythm section, and I didn't know that would work. Yeah. So it was trippy to me.
You didn't like understand the concept
Yeah,
of like landing.
pumping, like, yeah, I still remember that like so vividly.
I remember riding a quote unquote rhythm section for the first time, and you're like, it trips you out, like, oh, this is like what the pros ride.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But who else was in that scene? Because I know like Cookie.
Yeah, Joe Cedarquist, Cookie. Yeah, well, it started out as Dookie because he looked like the lead singer of Green Day. So so someone older, like a different crowd, they're like, aren't you that? Like, no, they called him Dookie, and then someone messed it up, and then it turned to Cookie. Yeah, so Cookie was like
good for him.
Everyone has like the filmer in the crew, and he was like the filmer guy in ours and stuff. And then Jerry was a few years older, so he was like going to nationals and stuff at that time when he was like 15, 16, like 17. So he was out there, and like he'd go to races and stuff and come back, and we'd be like so stoked to hear like the stories, like, whoa, you saw these guys, like you saw these pros. So he was like already going and like racing to nationals and stuff. And at that time, like, the class he was in was, the class.
16
like,
expert class.
16, like Joey Garcia, like all those dudes, like that was the class,
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Yeah, because Jerry was like a bit of a race prodigy, like as a kid. So, wow. So, you're riding with your crew, and like, at what point are you like, well, I should maybe try my luck in some contests? I know
it wasn't like my first contest was South Park '97. You weren't there. You weren't allowed to travel yet then.
Did you ride amateur?
No, pro.
Okay.
The 6-pack.
Oh yeah.
So Bennett, that's the first time we saw Bennett 3 both ways.
Right.
And we were like, oh my god. So that was my first pro contest. There was no amateur then, so.
But the following year, you did ride amateur in South Park.
Yeah.
You got second place?
Yeah, with Mikey got first.
Mikey Aiken won it. Yeah.
And the reason we didn't enter pro because it was $100.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, dude, $100 for a 16-year-old kid or something. That wasn't like, I just didn't have that, like,
right.
laying around. So. But
you had like and like I said, I remember you from my first contest, the Christmas Classic. And I noticed right away, I was like, he's got a like really clean style, like, this really like, everything looked really effortless, which was like really important at that time when like style was paramount. Yeah. Like if you had whack style, people just didn't like you. I was like, oh, dude's got good style and he does tricks. Like you could do.
I never felt like I had like style, but I didn't have bad style. I just kind of like, did things, but it wouldn't. I wouldn't say I had, you know what I'm trying to say?
You weren't like whipping it out.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
but everything looked the way that it was supposed to look. Similar to like how you ride street now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I thought I was like, oh man, like when I saw you in practice that following year when it was like the 2 6-pack side by side, I was like, that dude's gonna be good. And then you made finals, and if you made finals at the Christmas Classic, that was a huge deal because that's like the first. well, I guess you could technically say it was the last contest of that
Dude,
year, but like
yeah.
it was like the first big event of the year
Yeah, it was a big deal. Yeah.
when like everyone would come together.
When you have people flying from California to ride indoors in Ohio in
Yeah.
December, you know, it's like
everyone would go to those events. Like, and I remember that year that you did really well, the year that you placed 7th. Like Nyquist was there,
Yeah.
and like Joey Garcia was there, and was that Wachowiak won?
yep,
Right?
oh, yeah, one-hander lander,
Barspin, one-hander lander. But like you were doing tail whips.
Yeah,
Not a lot of dudes were doing tail whips. Like Garcia wasn't doing tail whips. Like Nyquist wasn't tail whipping yet.
no, actually Garcia didn't even learn them yet. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I mean, I think it was like maybe later that year he started doing tail
Yeah.
whips. But like you were like one of the, as far as like, if you could do tail whips, everyone knew who you were. But like
Yeah.
you were still relatively unknown, and you're doing tail whips. And kids listening are like, so
Yeah.
what? It's a tail whip. But like no one was like,
Dude,
if you had
I
to,
can name everyone on like one hand that did him that thing. Like Todd could do him, but he didn't.
No, he didn't do it in the contest.
He needed a little jump.
yeah.
Lavin would do it, and then Taj if he entered a contest, but he wouldn't go to those things. And then the random freestyle guy that would show up and
Yeah.
huck a tail whip. You know?
Yeah. I remember one run you did no footer, X up, no footer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you did X up, and then you did no footer, bar spin, no footer.
Yeah.
Like, because remember Mike Artelene did that in the props?
That's one of my favorite clips ever.
Dude. Yeah.
But even going back to that South Park that we were talking about with Mikey, I remember entering amateur and I was like, oh, I got this. I was like, oh, I can't enter pro, but I'll get this amateur. And then fucking Mikey rolls in and he's threeing the massive line, like threeing that jump and shit. And it was just like, dude, this dude's something different. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could kind of see what, like Mikey, as he was
Yeah.
like progressing, you're like, that dude's going to be something special.
Yeah. Wasn't that that was the contest that you blew off the edge, right?
Yeah. This isn't my interview, though. Like, this
I know,
is about
I know,
you.
I
But,
know, but I like to.
no, yeah, I it was raining, it was wet, I was riding Cornemuse bike
Yeah.
because I'd already raked out my forks. So the Christmas Classic was really what set your career off.
Yeah.
But you didn't get immediately sponsored right away after the Christmas Classic, because I remember you
like
and I
3 months later.
we went out
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Sea Otter
Yeah, that's where I got sponsored though.
because there was that dirt circuit
Yeah,
that
yeah.
got canceled, and that's when you met Lou Caparelli, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he's the one that put you on Huffy.
Yep. Yep.
So Huffy was like your first.
Yeah. Very first sponsor. Yeah.
And what was it like riding for Huffy bicycles? I mean, they had a pretty stacked team at that time.
Dude, at the time, you know, it was. I mean, at that time, it might have. I think it was getting over the hump a little bit of people giving you as much shit as you, like maybe like a few years before, like those, you would have got way more shit than you did, and maybe even in like '99 or 2000. You know, I think a lot more people did it. You weren't. You know what I mean? Does that seem correct? Was that, at least in my eyes, it seemed that way, right?
What do you mean?
Like in '96 or '7, if you took like one of those sponsors, it'd be like way worse than you did a few years later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at that time, Huffy had a pretty good team.
Yeah, and like you had like Ruben and
Frymouth.
Nasty and Frymouth and all those guys.
And then
So-
Artelene was on Huffy as well. So
Yeah,
like they,
yeah.
I think because their team was so good, people were like, oh, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like I always looked at the team, like who was riding for them
but-
more than the brand itself.
Yeah, but I don't know. I always looked at it. I'm like, damn, these people are gonna send me places and they're gonna pay me, and I get to go do cool things. You know, like that was
But you were like primarily just going like contest to contest. at
that was a
point.
show guy at first.
Oh, you were doing shows?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Oh damn.
Well, dude, shows were not, especially on Huffy, because you'd find yourself in a Walmart parking lot.
That's
in
exactly where I would be.
in the middle of summer in like Dayton, Ohio.
But I loved it though. I left, dude. I went straight from a week after high school to on Huffy tour. You know, like that was awesome. You know, like that'd be now. No way do I want to do that. But then, like that was the coolest thing ever. Like I roll up to the hotel and Frymouth's there and stuff, and I'm like, this is awesome. This is a week after high school, and I'm still like, shit is so new, and like you're just fanning out still. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dude, I'm about to go into a Frymouth.
But yeah, those first few years of like
Yeah.
you're living your dream basically.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh god, this is all like happening all of a sudden. Even though you probably imagined like it wouldn't be on Huffy, but like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's still happening. But how were you on Huffy until they went on, like not went under, but like
Yeah. Yeah, they just went bankrupt and everything.
And that's when you started riding for Volume?
Yep. Volume.
All right.
Yeah.
Were you on Volume prior to moving out to Cali? Or when did you actually?
That was way before.
When did you actually move out to Cali?
Dude, that was on. I was on Schwinn when I moved, and then I moved back home for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was after like Y2K.
Yeah.
But and you got on Volume like.
I got on Schwinn in end of 2000.
Okay.
And I was on Volume. I was on Volume not long at all, just because I did all these contests, and then just the phone was blowing up. You know, like I did good that year on Volume, like good at contests. I was like top 5 or top 7, you know, like every contest. So, and then you just get phone calls like Gary Fisher, K2, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
So
That's got to be so crazy for, I don't know, like my age demographic of the listeners that I have, but like for a kid, like now, like kids are killing themselves for almost nothing.
Yeah.
And to think like, okay, you made a few finals and then your phone's ringing off the hook.
yeah,
with
those
like,
finals are hard, man.
What's that?
Those finals were hard.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I know, yeah.
You got the heaviest hitters to ever like touch a bike. You have like TJ Lavin and Nyquist and Joey Garcia and Nasty and then Murray. Like, I mean, to make a final in those days was a big deal.
It was different then. I felt like it was kind of the same pack for a while. So if you brought yourself into that pack, you got noticed. You know, now these days you can go to contests. Dude, you might not even know might win, you know, like every other contest, but right?
Well, yeah, and regardless of if you got first or 10th or 12th, you were still going to get some television time. So that was super valuable to the bike companies that were sponsoring you. So, case in point, Gravity Games 2000, kind of like your hometown, like it's big, high-paying event where like they have their superstars. They have like Nastasio. Remember the TV intros when they had like Nastasio in the airplane hangar and it's all like dramatic and they have TJ.
Dude, it was crazy.
And Nyquist. And you weren't really on anyone's radar prior to the contest. But I remember watching you ride practice and you're killing it. Like 360 over one set, tail up on the next. Or you do like a tail up, then a 360. And I literally remember TJ Lavin, like over my shoulder, I could hear him. And he goes, dude, Biz is going to win this contest.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you ever heard that or not.
No, that's awesome, though.
Dude, he literally, like, I remember it vividly. Because remember, like, those early years, you remember everything.
Yeah.
And he's like, Biz is going to win this contest. And everyone's like, dude, he's on one right now. And, like, everyone knew that you could do 3 whips.
Yeah.
And, like, again, this is Y2K. No one's doing 360 tail whips. Except for, like, Lavin.
Yeah.
Of course.
The freestylers.
And yourself, of course. But, like, you qualify, you make finals, and you get 3rd. And what payout was like, what, $8,000?
Yeah. That was a good payout.
There's actually a good photo that I'll probably post as we're doing this, but it's TJ won, of course. Your boy got 2nd, and Biz got 3rd. But that, to me, that was like a turning point in my whole career, my whole life, where I was like, whoa, this is a big, like, I got tons of, and you got, as well, like a lot of television time, even though we didn't have the hype.
Yeah.
But it was like sponsors, like all over our shirts and helmets and everything.
Not me. I looked like cool.
You actually looked you looked like a trail rider.
Yeah.
That like just got in there.
I
like,
was still on Volume. Yeah.
Everyone else is in jerseys and everything, but like that podium shot, like.
Man, do you remember getting after that we just got dragged to like press area and like did this thing, and me and you were sitting on either side of TJ, and TJ just rifling off like blah blah there's questions, like it's like he's been there all day and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no one asked us a single question.
We're just like looking like,
so TJ, did you know you were gonna win it from the beginning? And like, I think TJ was the type of guy though that he was like, oh, you know, I'm happy that my boys could do well too, and it's like
TJ's the best. But,
yeah,
but that contest, do you remember those? I still remember times when like stuff just was like clicked. You didn't have to think, and you just do it, and it was easy. You know, like I remember that day being like that. You know, just like tail whips and rhythm and stuff, which might not sound like a big deal, but tail whips and rhythm were kind of a thing that wasn't around for a, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like it took.
No, that was like that. Yeah. Those are big deal tricks, and I think it was like maybe a year or two after that was when like
Joey Garcia was like doing tail ups and rhythm like real consistently, and he was like winning like every contest. But it's like you were doing that like so far ahead of everybody else. But that like so you had a really good contest year on volume, and then like you kind of make it to the big time, which was like riding for Schwinn.
Yeah,
and at the time, this is like, it's like Brian Foster and Alan Foster, and the Schwinn team was just like unmatched by like any team.
Yeah, that was crazy.
How long were you on Schwinn for?
Like less than a year.
It was less than a year?
Yeah, it might not even have been a whole year. Yeah.
Why do I think that was like 2 years?
No, I probably had a 2-year deal, but it was probably they went bankrupt.
That shit went
it
bankrupt.
might have been like exactly a year, or like it felt like way longer, but
your like world champion runs.
Yeah. That day too, that was like a memorable. Like,
you were still on volume for the world champion.
Yeah. So volume sent me over for that because they had distribution in Germany, and they asked me to go to that, and I was like, okay. So I went to Germany, and that was one, like I've no like top 3 like all time riding days of my life, and that's one of them. Yeah, the Germany Worlds, because that was always such like you'd see like footage of it and like videos and props, and it'd just be like crowd, like a sea of people, like and they're like it's a different crowd than America, and
it's because they're all drunk.
Yeah, and I remember showing up there, and I was just like, what the fuck? This shit is fucking crazy.
Right.
And I was just like practicing with dudes that don't really go to contests as much. You know what I mean? Like the Joe Riches and the Tajes and stuff. And I was like, fuck, and this is like a different, like different vibe than what the other contests were.
Well, yeah, it was almost like there would be like the crowd would be like so like in on the jumps that there was actually a little path. Dude, if you got off the course, you're gonna hit like 5 drunk Germans. But I remember like you had the clips in props, and you do that line where it's like big 360, a tail up, then a 3-whip.
Yeah.
And that was like a highlight of that contest in that video part. But that video was so sick.
Yeah, that was that day everything just clicked too. I remember just being able to do everything, and I was like, fuck, this is awesome. And to get second behind Taj, like my all-time favorite rider ever, like that was like the best. But
that was like, I don't know if Taj was like in his prime then, like and the tricks he was doing, like the big one-handed tail whip, and he did like a no-footer one-hander to late tail whip. Yeah, that was dope. And but that got you qualified for X Games, so you were like in X Games that year.
Yeah, that did that. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So like, but I keep thinking back to like where you are now as like the street rider that you are, and like how many people would know like at one point you were like a top 5 dirt jumper. That's with this podcast. That's what I was like mostly interested in talking about was like, coming up as a like one of the best dirt jumpers for a long time. But then like that's when we started to notice like this natural like pop and the natural like street prowess that you had, even though like street wasn't nearly as popular yet as it as it was going to be in the years later. So it was like kind of working out for you, and that like BMX was going in a direction that you were kind of going in anyways. But do you remember when I was on Road Fools 8.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And we were out to dinner.
Yeah.
And I forget, it came up that I was like this big props nerd, which I totally was. Like I knew everything about props, and I was like, oh, my friend Biz, he knows everything about props too. And Marco's like, oh yeah, I've heard of Biz. Like what's his story? And then like someone else chimed in like, oh yeah, he's the coolest dude. And like we start talking about you at the dinner table, and it's like Matt Berenger and Dave Osato and all these other guys. And I was like, you should get him on a Road Fools. And Marco's like, all right, let's call him. And we called you, like the whole props crew.
I still remember where I was when I got the phone call. I was in my room in Corona.
And this is like cell phones are new, right? Yeah. So like everyone's like, I think it was my phone, and like we're passing it around. And everyone's like, hey, Biz, what's up? And then Marco's like, you want to go on the next Road Fools?
Yeah.
And again, it's like that's such a huge deal.
Yeah, like people won't understand. Like but to be invited in those times was like it was crazy. Like it was like even I remember you were in the mix, like you were in like the mix, like good. And I remember you getting invited, and you were like, "Whoa!" Like I can't like so like people that went on it even like were like, "Whoa!" Like tripping that they even got to go, you know?
Yeah.
It was So I remember where I was. Yeah, I was in my room in Corona. You called, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Well, I remember. So the phone got passed around. You got invited by Marco, and I remember like the phone finally came back to me, and I was like, "Biz, dude, you're gonna go on Road Fools," and you're like, "Doyle, this is like our dream." That I vividly remembered. Like, this is like our dream, because we were like such props geeks, like knowing like everything, and everyone would always say like, "Oh, we should do like a contest between you and Biz."
Yeah. Although I only knew stuff up to like the 20s or
Well,
something, you know, like.
Yeah, after a while I started to lose touch. But Road Fools was such a big deal because they'd always do these like reader polls in Ride Magazine, like, what's your favorite video? And like, it was always like Road Fools was like the biggest seller of like any BMX video that year. And like to be on that was like huge, and your sponsors would be stoked because you're on like the biggest video of the year. But so you make this appearance on Road Fools 9, and it's like the world's like introduced to Biz, like the Biz that like a lot of us already knew from like on being on the dirt jumping scene. But at that time, weren't you on DK?
Yeah, I was.
You were on DK for like what, a couple months?
Yeah, like 2 months or something, like 3 months or something. Yeah.
Dude, you've had a lot of sponsors.
I know.
You've had a lot of like
frame sponsors,
like dope, like Huffy.
It wasn't like it wasn't. Yeah.
How did that come about? How did you get on DK? So Schwinn went under.
Yeah, Schwinn went under, and then Button Deck hit me up. Yeah, it happened at your house in Erie. He hit me up.
Damn.
Yeah, it happened in Erie, and he hit me up, and I was like, because I wasn't really riding anyone for a bit. Like I had like some offers and shit from like Free Agent and stuff, but I was like, they wanted me to ride the Mr. Lucky, and I told them I wouldn't ride the Mr. Lucky, and I was like, I'll ride a different frame because the money was really good, and I was like, damn, this would be really good money. But I was like, I cannot ride a square back end or something. No, that was Diamondback. Diamondback was a square back end. I was like, I cannot ride a square back end. I was like, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I was like, so then I just waited for a bit, and like Doss was treating me really good, so I just got to chill for a bit, and I was riding like a blue van frame, and I was just had no stickers on it. Do you remember that? It was like a lot of those clips would have been in like my ride part, like the old one from In the Life, where I filmed some stuff. Yeah.
Dude, that part was sick.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, In the Life was. You're doing like backwards handrails, going up rails.
That was my first and last one. No, I've done like a couple more, but that was like, I don't do that trick often.
Yeah, we'll get to your video parts here in a little bit, but I want to go back to Road Fools 9, and it was like the world was again introduced to like this guy that I've known that like because we were pretty close for a long time, and there was like superhuman feats caught on film when you ran up the fucking mountain.
Someone just talked about that with me the other day too.
Well, I remember driving with you like out here in California.
I still drive it all the time, and I see it all the time going to Vegas, and
you're like, that's the mountain I ran up.
Yeah.
Dude, that's gnarly. Were you like, here's a question I've never asked you before. Were you like a star athlete like in high school or something?
Well, cause I did not play sports, and I quit in like 6th grade. I didn't play any sports once it got in the way of my racing.
Oh, okay.
Like I was done. I was like, my mom, when I had to miss baseball practice, racing to go to baseball practice, and this is like, and just like 6th grade summer, I was like, I am not, like, I quit all sports, you know?
I always just wondered if you were like this just naturally gifted athlete that could just do these like superhuman things. Like, okay, so running up the mountain is in what, 30 minutes?
Yeah.
You ran up a mountain in 30 minutes.
Well, it was even like crazier to get just to the base of it. The base of it was far, you know? Like I always drive by it, and I'm like, I want to like hold a contest with BMXers and bring them there and bring them from the same point and like do a contest that's a running race for BMXers, but up that. I always thought that would be kind of funny to do.
I don't know, man. I always considered myself to be a decent athlete, and you and I got in a couple running races, and
I was always super fast.
Dude, I'm a pretty fast runner if I can toot my own horn. Like I can run real fast. You might not know what to look at me, but I'm very gazelle-like.
Well, yeah, you're tall. The runner's physique.
But I remember racing you in a parking lot in Greenville,
I still remember this.
And we start sprinting, and you had just like come off knee surgery. I think you had like two, or you had like one knee maybe one knee surgery at this point. And I remember, as we're running, like you're starting to like get past me, and you're like, just got off knee surgery too.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, shit.
Damn, that's awesome.
You blew past me like talking shit. And I'm like, damn. And you can like lift really heavy shit, and like arm wrestling, like.
Dude, funny story. Like right where we pedaled down the beach the other day, there was a thing. It was like hang for 100 seconds and you win $100, but the thing turned the whole time, and I made it to like 1 minute and 30. Like I was like a little bit away, but it was so hard. Yeah.
What do you mean it turned?
Like it was a hanging bar, but the bar turned the whole time, so you're constantly like forcing against it. You know? So I was on my beach ride, and I pedaled back up to get my chick. I'm like, I need $10 because I was just on my road bike ride, and I was like, I want to go back. I can win, but I just missed it. It was so hard to do. But
that was like one of the notes I put in here is superhuman abilities.
Superhuman abilities. I don't know about that, but if you think.
So going back, like, there was a time too, like in the dirt jumping contest scene, like you were one of the only guys that had like really dialed 720s.
No, I did them. I did some. I wouldn't say they were dialed. Like, I feel like I threw them out. Dude, I only did a handful of them.
Really?
Yeah.
There was the one contest in Oceanside.
Yeah, that day. That was the first time I ever tried it.
Yeah.
I did it.
You did like 5
I know.
or 6 that day.
That day I did a bunch. And I remember after that too, like I did one that day, and I remember being like BF tried one afterwards because I did one. And they were like, and I think maybe Todd might have tried one too.
Todd, really?
Yeah, I swear, yeah, but I just tried it and it worked. I think because I didn't know what I was doing and I wasn't trying to. And then once you try and like mess with your spin, I think that's when you like, you know.
Perhaps my favorite 720 of all times happened at the 2003 X Games.
Yeah, that's a pretty talked about story. Yeah.
Is it? Like people talk about that?
Oh yeah, probably because every time X Games comes around, I post it to Instagram.
Oh
too.
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Dude, what was up with that?
Well, I think it was just the jumps were horrible, and back then I don't know. I was young and didn't care, and I was like, I don't like the jumps. I'm gonna goof off. So I just didn't like the jumps. And I think I tried to 3 the first set in practice, and I remember it being hard to clear, and I front wheel cased.
Oh shit.
And I fucking died. And then I was just like over the whole contest, so I was just goofing around. And then the contest comes around, and then I drop in, and I just like bar hump, goof, and then go up on the rolling, go to turn around. Bunch of college kids in like the stands were booing me because I didn't do shit, you know? So then I was like, all right, fuck these kids, like fuck you. And then I dropped in and then jumped, and then then I did the 7, you know. So everyone always thought I was just like flipping the crowd off after that, and it was like, no, it was to those college kids in the back that challenged me. So it was
pretty legendary moment.
So I wanted to show them, yeah.
720 straight to the middle finger. I'll be sure to post that when I'm talking about your interview here.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the video parts that you've put out. You've already mentioned In the Life, that ride video. Yeah. That's when you did the Never Been Done Before. When now was that? Was it In the Life when you did the Hurricane bar spin?
Yeah, because Bennett filmed a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When would that have come out?
That was 2001. Yeah.
So you must have been still on volume at that point?
I was off Schwinn. A lot of it I was off Schwinn. I was riding a Schwinn, but I was off Schwinn.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of that was filmed in Erie, just over in Erie, you know, and visiting home in Boston with Cookie and filmed him. But
okay.
Most of it I was off Schwinn, but staying with Bennett. Yeah.
Okay. You and Chris Bennett have had like a pretty long friendship, huh?
Yeah.
Is that how like you got on Square One?
Yeah, I think so.
Because you had a part in the
Up in Arms.
Up in Arms.
Yeah.
Or it was like you and Dave Jacobs.
Or Empire East too. Before that. Yeah.
But Empire East really wasn't.
That was Jim's video.
Yeah. That was sick. You rode to that Digger song.
What is it?
Boy Toy Days.
Oh, that was a split part with Jim too. Yeah.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
We had a split part.
But it was like pretty much all trails.
Yeah.
And then, you had one in Up in Arms, which is where you did the tail up on that roller.
Yeah, me, Garrett Burns, and Dave Jacobs split part. Yeah,
that's a heavy lineup right there. Maybe I'll have to post that one. I'll see if I can get that one out. Yeah. But that was a sick part.
Yeah,
just that lineup alone.
Those days were some of the best.
What is Dave Jacobs up to?
I think he might live in Long Beach, something.
He doesn't ride anymore, does he?
I have no idea. So Winston, come on.
Yeah, there's a dog running around. If I don't know if you can hear it, but
yeah.
What was your favorite video part that you put out? Because you have like a plethora. Which one's like?
Honestly, this one, the newest.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Well, because
no, like it means the most to me. This one probably, you know.
Well, I think about when
there's a lot that I don't like, you know, like more that I don't like, and for video parts, like I have a lot of like 2 minute ones that I really like, a lot of internet ones, but nothing that's been like 4 minutes, you know, that I've been like really stoked on, you know.
Well, I always think when I think back at like any video part I've put out, I always try to think about like when I was at the time in my life when I was like, you know, like you're either like on your way in or you're like right in the mix or you're kind of like on your way out. And I always think about the video parts like when I was like right in the mix.
But the times that I was really like on it and really good, I wasn't filming. And you know what I mean? Like I wasn't filming parts when I was really like on it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and then when I did have time to film parts, I feel like it was times that I was like transitioning or something from dirt to street or something, and like, you know, like parts that like I like just wasn't happy with, or I didn't have an eye and I didn't know how to film and stuff, you know.
Right. But you also had to like kind of deal with a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Throughout your career.
Yeah.
Because I remember there was always a time when like, I don't know, it seemed like you always, like at least once a year you had to deal with like some shitty injury. Whether it was like your knee.
Yeah, I was always breaking something. It was always, yeah. I did have a lot of injuries.
But like silly stuff.
Yeah, like some, well, I don't know, some of them broken legs, broken femurs, broken
femur. Should we talk about the Superman cover?
Yeah, we can.
Here's how I remember the story.
Yeah, well, I want to hear how you remember it, then I'll tell you how I remember it.
I was in town, like I would come out every winter and ride with you guys, and we met up with Z. We're going to shoot some photos for Ride, not really knowing, you know, what it was going to be, what we were shooting for. And I remember you and Enz giving me a bunch of shit as we're on our way there, and Enz is like, why are we even going to do this? You're just going to be shooting for like the subscription card for, or you're going to be like a, you know,
I do remember that.
Download the latest screensaver.
Yeah. Get this free ride hat or something.
Yeah, exactly. But so we're riding the ditch spot, and it's just like someone had like put a kicker over this like concrete like box jump looking thing, and I'm jumping it, and you go, what are you gonna shoot? And I say, oh, I think I'm gonna shoot a Superman. And you go, that's what I was gonna shoot. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do something else. You're like, no, just do it, just do the Superman, whatever. And then you're like, I'll try and 3 it a couple times and feel it out. I was like, okay, whatever. So I do the Superman, we shoot it, not knowing where the Superman's going.
Yeah.
And like you're feeling out the 360, you eat shit, and you break your hip.
Femur.
Yeah,
I cracked my femur.
Am I to blame for that? Because it was
yeah, you are. No.
It was like Doyle stole my cover.
It probably wouldn't have been a cover because my Superman wouldn't have been nearly as good. But
well, I'm just taller.
Yeah. That's clearly it. Yeah.
But
I got a decent Superman.
Well, no, you do have a really good Superman. You have a really good Superman C-Crab.
I haven't done one of those in ages, but yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because like I remember like actually it was Enz that broke your femur officially.
No, he didn't break it. He let me know it was broken.
Why? How was that?
So long story short, Doyle stole my cover, and then I fell straight to my hip, like off the top of a wedge, like probably like far, like yeah, definitely cracked it. I was limping out of there, and I was like, I was on crutches for a good like 5 days. Like you were already gone, gone and stuff, and then me and Enz, like I forget, people were in town or something. Rob Wise maybe, like we were in town and we were in the van, and someone cut Enz off, and Enz had to slam on the brakes, and I planted my foot down, and I like nearly almost passed out, because that's the worst pain I ever felt in my life. Is like, I don't know what happened, like me planting my foot might have like shifted and made the bone like open up or something like that, and I was like, I like got on the floor and like was in tears, and then they drove me straight to the hospital, and the guy's like, yo, you cracked your femur like halfway through, like, and it was like up near the ball area, like way top. So when I did that, then I like got all these pamphlets for people that are like 65 and older that have like slipped in the bathtub or something like that, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, that was pretty bad. There's nothing you do about it though, you know. You're just on crutches for the next few, like, for like 3 months or whatever, waiting for it to heal. So yeah, I got lucky on that one, he said, because if I broke it where it would have just been the ball like inside the thing, you know. Like, yeah, wouldn't have been good.
Now, so I'd like to, I'll take this public opportunity to...
you don't have to apologize.
Apologize.
I would have done the same thing.
But, yeah.
Did get a cover, though.
Yeah.
And if I remember, wasn't your bulge, like, sticking out and people commenting on that or something?
That was, this is my pants, you know? Like,
yeah, I know.
Tony Hamlin took that in a whole different direction. He's like, dude, look at the bulge. Let me fix your thing here. It's like your shirt folded down. That's fine. Yeah. But now, if you want to, one thing you mentioned that you'd want to talk about is the like early influences, and you were really inspired by. Hold on, let me start this over again. I think you were influenced by a lot of the things that I was influenced by as well, like especially being on the East Coast with like the videos and the trail scenes that were like of that era.
Yeah.
When you were, did you get to go to? You went to like all these legendary spots. You went. Yeah. Did you go to Posh?
I've got to ride Posh once for a half hour. Then it rained.
So you got to ride. And you said you went to Push as well?
That was, I can still remember, that was the best day I've ever had riding on a bike. I can still like bring it back and know that like the best day I've ever had on a bike was riding that day. Because that was like such a, like, I don't know if kids have that to like do now or what to look forward to or something, but I feel like back then there was these scenes that maybe they do now, but I'm old and I don't really like, you know, but there was these scenes like in different parts, like Fort Wayne and Push and Posh and 7-Eleven, and there was such like I looked up to them like crazy, and their whole scenes, like I wanted that so bad, and like a lot of the guys were kind of mysteries to you, and you'd see them and you'd be like, you'd try to find out more information about him, but you couldn't, you know what I mean? Like it was such like a mystery thing. You'd be like, who is that guy? I've seen him and I know he's done a few tricks, and it was just like I still like watch those videos now and it gives me that same feeling, you know? Like
you still watch like the old Push videos?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, well, I know what you're saying, because like the guys in the videos, like in the Push videos, and like 1201 and Juvenile Trickery, they weren't like big time.
Yeah, they weren't top pros, and that's why like you'd get videos of it, and they wouldn't come out too often, but when you do, you just like the group of guys and the trails, and the trails were like I dreamed of going there, like literally like dreamed. It was like seriously, when I finally did, like I went there in 97, yeah, on a trip, and that trip was crazy. Like so it was to South Park. Yeah, you didn't go that year. Like you missed the last year at Push.
I know.
Like that, dude. So that was the best time ever. But I went with 2 older guys. Well, older meaning 18.
Yeah.
And I was 15. Yeah, 15. And we drove there, and we slept in a truck stop, like halfway there. And they were in a 2-door, like a big 2-door car, and they fell asleep in the front seat. And I was in the back seat, and I was like 15 and so nervous. I had to go pee so fucking bad. And I was scared to wake them up. So I was sitting in the back seat, like almost pissing myself, sweating, drenched in Pennsylvania sweat, like in the backseat of a car with no AC, but like I wouldn't change it for the world. Like that shit was like, I still remember it, like it was the best. And then we finally made it to Pittsburgh. We rolled into Pittsburgh at 7 a.m. and we got to push at 7 a.m. I showed up there. It was daylight. Jerry was riding already. Jerry was there.
At 7 a.m.?
Yeah, like, Jesus. Dude, you rolled up, he was there riding. So we got there, and Jerry's like, follow me through. And I'm like, I was so, like, I'm not good enough to ride these. This is like the trails I've been looking at my whole, like, for years and, like, wanting to go. And then I went and I made it first time. And then, dude, rode the most of my life for the next, like, 4 days, like, nonstop from morning till night, yeah.
You rode push for 4 days?
Well, it might have been 3.
Okay.
So, yeah, so we were there, rode for the contest, probably get on Friday, contest is on Saturday, and then probably rode Sunday, you know, so. Damn. It was amazing.
That's sick.
And I remember Brennan Brown was there too, and he was one of the first pros I ever met, and I was like, damn, that's Brennan Brown.
Was he pretty cool?
I don't know. Like, I met him, and he was, I don't know. He was just riding too, you know? But yeah. I didn't, like, ask him anything. I was just like, hi, you know, something. I probably didn't even talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't go. I was still too young to travel. Like, there's no way my parents would have let me go.
Yeah, and I talked to my girl about this now. I'm like, dude, I can't, like, believe that I got to go on these trips at that age. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a different world now.
Yeah.
I have like a nephew who's 16. There's no way his parents would, like, let him go and do anything like that. Like. Dude. I went to a contest in, like, Virginia Beach when I was a kid. Yeah. When I was like 15, no money. My mom was like, "Yeah, have fun."
Dude,
she didn't ask me where I was going to stay or what I was like. I'm sorry, I'm just going to this contest in Virginia Beach, like 4 hours away.
Dude, so at that contest, so we got there and then got to the race, and everyone just stayed at the race. And those guys, the older guys, they were like, they already had somewhere to stay. They're like, okay, fine. I slept on the green fake grass outside of their car.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's got to be a hard concept for people to understand.
And it was like it didn't bother me one bit at all.
No, because you were just stoked. You're riding push. What other riders were there that day? Like, was like Bennett, Wingding?
Dude, well, not that day, but over the weekend, everyone you can think of. It was like a lot of the footage is in FBM Live Fast Die. Like, all that push footage is from that day when Nasty, like, comes down and flips the huge one at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah,
that's that day.
Oh yeah, like
when Duncan ran into Lavin and made him fall there. That's that day. Like,
okay.
Yeah. Winkleman, like, ate shit super bad, like, and tumbled down the hill.
Oh yeah.
That's that day. Like, that whole day, like, it was just like every dude you'd want to see was there, you know? Bennett was there, but he showed up with his girlfriend and looked at the jumps and didn't ride, and I was so bummed.
Dude.
I was so bummed.
What a superstar.
Which understandable. You probably, he should have rode, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like, damn, why isn't Bennett riding? But that day, yeah, that whole weekend was amazing, man. Like, I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Fuzzy was digging. Like, I remember that one clip I think Fuzzy has in a video,
fully.
digging. Yeah, that was that day. I remember Fuzzy digging, like, taking time just to show respect and, like, dig and stuff.
Yeah. Wow, so, like, that's pretty rad that you got to experience that. Because, I mean, I don't know what kids, you know, what videos they're watching now, or what they're sweating, but, like, to be able to, you know, fulfill that dream of getting to ride that spot with all those guys, like, that's pretty special deal.
Yeah, it was like, it's an all-time best day riding. Yeah.
Damn, that's sick.
It was rad.
But yeah, so we'll do you want to go back to, like, kind of where we were talking?
Yeah.
Or is there, like, any other kind of, like, spots, like, legendary things you got to do that I didn't get to do?
Yeah, I even want to talk about that weekend a little more, the push this South Park weekend. But
Okay.
yeah. But even then, like, yeah, so Jerry was like, so that weekend at South Park, Jerry made finals. That was his first finals at a contest. And it was like, you remember that clip in Pop?
Yeah, you guys are all like
yeah,
wrestling.
yeah. So that was like, that made the weekend even crazier. That Jerry made finals and did all that. So that was just an insane weekend. Yeah. And seeing dudes like, remember what Koviak did? Barred a no-footed can, and me and my buddy like, what the fuck? Like, how is that even like possible? We couldn't fathom it, you know, like how someone could even do that. And Crandall pushed me over a fence.
Nice.
Again, because he had a broken leg at the time, and I think we were cheering for Jerry, and I stepped on his broken leg, and he like pushed me over the fence.
Such a bully.
Yeah, I still tell him about that one.
Yeah, I fully remember that when you guys were like wrestling with Jerry.
Yeah.
I saw you standing there. You had the like the ringer shirt on.
Yeah, dude, ringers were popular then.
Yeah.
Man, that was the best year though. That was amazing.
That's sick, man. And then like the next, well, I guess it wasn't the next year, but like 2 years later, you're in the mix.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
That's sick, man.
You missed out on that year.
Yeah, thanks.
Damn.
So I didn't mention your stint on fly bicycles,
Yeah.
because you had a pretty good, you had like a pretty long stand with fly as well.
It was a couple years. Yeah, it was a few years.
That's pretty, because it was like just you and Punjab.
Yeah.
And like Sergio.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was like you and Punjab were like representing, like,
Yeah,
you guys were the only
basically, yeah,
Americans.
that's why I was on DK, and then DK started distributing Fly, and then they were like, hey, we got this new company in, and I never even heard of Fly, and it was still basically like I was riding for Steve anyways, you know, so like that, so they were like, yeah, we're gonna put you on Fly, and I was like, that's fine, I'm still dealing with the same people,
Yeah.
the same everything, you know. So.
Well, yeah, my entire time on DK was like, I don't really ride for DK, I ride for Steve Buddendeck. That's how I always treated
Yeah.
it, and it kind of sounds like it was the same deal.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're still
yeah.
dealing with the people that
Yeah.
were working at System, which was like Buddendeck,
Yeah.
Muth, those guys, and then we filmed the System video.
Yeah, see, I hate that. Like, I hate that part.
You
so
hate that
much.
part?
I hate it.
Dude, to the Bengals song, that
I hate that part. Like,
Why?
despise it. It's just because I was in that, like, I didn't know, like, wasn't knowing how to, like, film, like, what I could do. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Okay.
I seriously hate that part.
screw that part then.
Yeah.
Dude, wasn't it the opener?
Yeah, and I was so bummed, like, that
Jeez.
it was. Because, I just, at that point, I don't think I knew, like, what I could do. You know what I mean? Like, I was still learning.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, what, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to talk about that part.
Yeah. No, we can talk about it if you want. No, I wanted, because I'd be more psyched if you're psyched on it, because I hate it so much. Yeah.
No, I was stoked on it. I thought it was a
Really?
good representation of like that time period.
Yeah.
And like,
See, I just felt it was sloppy, and I didn't know how to. Couldn't know how to pick things, and I wasn't using spots good, and I was just like, you know.
okay.
Yeah. Your part was awesome. But,
Hey,
yeah.
thanks. But again, this isn't about me. What haven't we talked about? That was like kind of. I mean, we're not at the end of my
Yeah.
notes, but like, I'm not gonna give anything away. But what?
No. I was just looking how much time you already did. What do you think? That's only been because you re-recorded.
It's been about probably a little over an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't write down a lot of notes for you just because I've
Yeah.
known you for so long. I didn't really feel the need.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about Sean Jordan?
Maybe. Did you put that in your notes?
No. It's funny. I have this like weird fascination with the movie Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah.
and it's just like a cult classic, you know.
Yeah.
And I was watching it one night, and I was like Googling like who the actors were, and I was
Yeah.
finding them on like Facebook, and they all have like different Facebook pages, and there's like a whole there's like a fan page for the Monroeville Mall where they filmed that
Oh, he'd
movie.
be stoked if you lived near the mall. He'd be.
Well, on every page that I looked at,
He comments.
no, it was like, you have one mutual friend, and I'm like, who? And it was your brother.
Yeah, he's a horror fan. He's
But,
a horror fanatic.
Your brother was a bike rider too.
Yeah, that's like, as far as I can remember, that's how I got into, like, we always had a skateboard or a bike, and it was always because of him. And I don't know where he saw it from, but I got it from him. And like, yeah, seriously, from like since like '84, since I could remember, I was like on a bike or a skateboard. Yeah, always.
Okay.
So it was good having an older brother because he was a little older, so he would bring the stuff, and then I'd get to trickle down to me, you know.
Okay. You mentioned this is a funny like off thing. Have you ever taught a legendary pro skater a skate trick?
Oh yeah, Andy McDonald. Yeah. Sex change.
What is a sex change?
Sex change is just a kick flip, but your body switches.
Okay.
So the board stays straight and your body switches. Yeah.
And you taught Andy McDonald how to do a sex change?
Yeah, which is weird because he's from the Boston area, and he would teach a clinic down the street from our house, and he was probably like 14 years old, and he taught at that clinic, and I'd go to the clinic, and I was probably like 5 years old or something. Like, I was really good at skateboarding. Like, used to like bomb handrails, like hold the board and then jump on and grind down the rail and stuff.
Caveman style?
Yeah, caveman, yeah. So, yeah. I was really good at skateboarding, yeah, but he was there, and then I remember teaching him. Yeah, he's like, how do you do that? Yeah, so, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. That's why I always, like, trip out. I wonder, like, if I skateboarded, like, where I would be.
Yeah, everyone kind of has
I know,
those few things, like, where, like, if you had stayed with, I don't know, people, like, if you stayed with baseball or soccer or something.
And baseball, too, I wish I
What could have been? Well, because I think a lot of people assume like,
because you went this far in something, you assume
If I made it this far in BMX, I probably, if I'd stuck with soccer, I would be playing in the MLS, which I mean is a whole different thing.
Yeah, way bigger, a lot more fish in that sea to pick from. Too.
Yeah. So you're 38 years old now.
Yeah.
As you mentioned before, we're pushing 40. I still think like, if you stay healthy, I still think you have like, some good years left in you.
Yeah.
Is there anything like you haven't accomplished yet that you're like really pushing for?
That big U.S. win, man. That big U.S. win. The fall in the berm.
Oh my God.
No, it just made me think of that.
Dude. We talked about that in my podcast with Bennett.
Yeah, you did.
Bennett just brought it up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know. It made me laugh.
Dude, that was part of that year when you were like, your big
That was when I was
year.
off Schwinn, and I was like right in there, yeah.
How many people could 3-whip a set that big? So this takes place at the contest in Oceanside. Big Vans contest. This is like maybe 2 years before the Dew Tour came into play.
Yeah.
Maybe only you and Lavin could have tail whipped that first set. And
3-whip.
I'm sorry, what did I say? Just tail whip? Okay, I'm sorry. 360 tail whip on that first set, which was like huge. And back in my mind, I pictured it as a huge set.
Yeah. It was see the first sets were different back then. They were like 6-foot lips that were really far, as opposed to now they're like 8-foot lips, but really tall and almost safe. You know, you can like slide down them. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? But those, I think, if you're crashing, you're fucking going down because they were like 5-foot lips with like really far though. You know?
Yeah.
But I always like those better.
Just tell the story from the beginning.
All right, we'll get into this again. Yeah. So, first off, we'll make it. Me and Bennett made finals, and you didn't.
Yeah,
you talked about that.
Yeah, Bennett brought.
Yeah.
I think everyone beat me at that contest.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, it came down to it, and I was like, I had 2 good runs or something. And me and Nikos were on the deck, and I forget what he maybe wanted to flip bar the first set or something like that. And I was like, damn, I want to 3-whip it or something. So we were like, damn, what's flip a coin and like we'll see if we do it or something. So I ended up like, however the game happened, I had to do it, and I was like, all right. So I flipped, I landed, went down, 3-whipped the first set, and then didn't think I was going to pull that. Like, I don't know what I thought was going to happen. Then just did like an X-up, whatever, then a 3. Went to go around the opposite berm for me, and then front wheel goes over the top. And then that ended it.
And it was actually a pretty big slam. Like,
Dude, no, you like when your front tire goes over a berm, you get messed up. Like Stephen Murray broke his whole face one time doing that. Yeah. Man, so that one still hurts. It still hurts. I still like to see what would have happened if I pulled that.
Well, yeah, you probably, I mean, depending on what you'd done on the last set,
yeah,
you probably would have won the contest.
Yeah.
Just because it was that big of a deal. And I remember everyone cheering and going crazy, and then it was like, like, he went over the berm. Like, I didn't even see you go over the berm because I was like slapping high fives with everybody. I'm like, oh, my buddy's going to win this. And then it was just like, oh, like, what happened? Dude, he went over the berm.
Man, it just, the front wheel too high. Went in. Ray Finkeled that shit. Laces out.
The laces were in, man.
Dude.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It did, no, hey.
It is what it is, man.
It's gotten more, hey, if I would have pulled that, wouldn't have got as much talk as it is now, fucking 17 years later, so it's kind of funny. I've gotten 17 years of jokes from my friends, so I think that's worth it.
You know what? I can't believe we almost got through this entire podcast without talking about that.
I know.
And I apologize to the listeners who've just been waiting for it. But that's such a legendary Biz story.
Oh,
but
man.
so you're still holding out for that big U.S. win?
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen, but...
But I like I said, like, you're 38, but I still think, like, if you keep on the same path, like, there's no reason.
It's just now these days it's more mental than anything, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel bad at all. Like, I feel like I can do, like, anything I did before. But
yeah.
It's just getting yourself to do it, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then the bigger thing, like, these days is it's more motivation and people to ride with, because just, as you know, as you get older, you lose who you were riding with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that many people to ride with anymore.
Neither do I.
Yeah, and that's like a main part of it for me is having people to ride with, you know? It's just, I don't know, just your generation changes and younger kids, they're into different things. That's been the hardest part of getting older as a pro.
You know what? That's true.
That's the hardest part.
Because, yeah, you have less and less people that are living the same lifestyle that you're living. Like, but even if I want to ride, I still want to ride and, like, do stuff on a certain level, and, like, I don't really have that as much with people my age, you know. So man, that's a really good point.
That's been the hardest part of getting older and being a pro, I'd say.
Like, how many guys in their late 30s are still, like, super motivated to go out there and, like, film and edit or, like, just even, like, push themselves to progress. Like, I'm sure getting someone that just wants to cruise and do manuals at the park's usually not that hard, but, like, yeah, I could see that as that makes perfect sense. And I've never even thought about it, but like, even at home, like, I have friends to ride with, but they ride when they get off work.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're going to the trails, and it's 6:00, and I'm like, damn, it's like dinner time, man. Like, I got to eat with my wife and my kid. Like, it definitely, as you get older, it definitely. Yeah. You know what? That's awesome that you brought that up. I've never even thought about that.
Yeah. For me, that's been the hardest part. Like, because I feel like if I had, I don't know, just sometimes, like, I don't know, I can't. It's harder to ride with younger kids, and, like, it's like we don't have the same jokes, and, like, it's different, you know. So
yeah.
I haven't been able to find that as much out here, you know, like a crew. So I'd say that's been the hardest part. It hasn't been like riding ability or anything like that. You know? Yeah.
That's a really good point. But it's weird because it doesn't seem like anyone out here has jobs. So it doesn't seem.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, it's different crowd, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. No, I'm 100% with you, and I'm glad you brought that up. That's because there might be like, you know, a 22-year-old that's listening right now and doesn't really understand what we're saying. But, like, yeah, as you get older, like, you see those people drop off more and more and more.
Like, as soon as, like, Enz left, that was like when Enz was here, that was amazing, you know. Like, I loved having him here.
Yeah, Enz lived in Corona with you.
Yeah. So that was some of the best times ever, you know.
Yeah, you always have someone to ride with.
Yeah.
And, like,
and he was, like, a little bit older than me, so it was even better, you know. Like,
yeah. Like, if this guy's still that motivated, like, why shouldn't you be?
So that made it even easier. But as soon as he left, it was like,
So is there do you have any kind of endpoint, or are you just like...
I mean,
Just gonna see what happens from here.
I'm almost to the point, like, I've always been like, I won't allow myself to not feel good on my bike.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I won't allow it. Like, I don't know if that, like, I don't know why, but I just...
You're like, you're working hard to maintain
that
comfort
like,
level.
I don't want to not feel good on my bike, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
And you still have like good support from sponsors.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You're on Verde.
Yeah.
So you're still with Steve Bundeck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, full
And,
circle.
Yeah. Demolition.
Yeah.
How long you've been on Demolition for a long time?
It'll be almost 20 years soon.
20 years,
yeah.
jeez.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Not 20 years yet. It's like 18 now or something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because
It'd be like 2001 or no, 2002. So
almost
yeah,
when
still,
like Demolition first started, right?
they started in like 2000. Yeah. So
Okay. Oh yeah, it
couple
says it
years
on
in.
your shirt right there.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right.
Since
there you-
2000.
Yeah. There we go.
So that's rad. You still have like support from
Yeah.
good brands out there.
Yeah.
And are you still on Eastern Border?
No, I've lost touch with them in a long time. I'm like Pusher now. So Clay. And all
Oh,
that
that's
stuff.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
so
Is Eastern Border? I think
it's still around. Yeah.
Okay.
It's still around, but I don't know as much. But I've lost contact with the people over there like a long time ago. But they were like my very first sponsor. Like paid for the Christmas Classic contest and
Okay.
all that stuff like that. So
that was that dude Sean. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about Pusher, about Clay.
Yeah.
But that's Pusher's the mail order brand.
Yep.
Okay, they got a pretty cool team. It's like
Yeah,
you
it's awesome.
and
He did.
Darden.
We do awesome trips, like me, Darden, Dennis, and shit.
Yeah.
And dude, he's gonna kill me. I can't think of his name.
Who?
I'm drawing a blank. You'll have to edit this out. Seth. Yeah, Seth Klinger.
Seth
He goes-
Klinger?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was just drawing a blank so much. Yeah, trying.
Dude, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Must be part of getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I like everything that we've talked about. Is
Yeah.
there like anything I left out that?
Actually, I do want to like talk about one thing because I've probably gotten more.
Oh, I know where this is going.
I've probably gotten more comments about this over the years than anything. Anything. Do you want to start it out?
Dude, that's how I remember it. And okay, you're talking about the passport story?
Yes. I've probably gotten more comments about that and everything, like still on Instagram and still, and I'm like motherfuckers. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like Doyle just blew up my spot on the video, and then it's been forever.
Well, here's how I remember it.
Okay, let's.
And
hear.
this is year 2000. Mm-hmm. You get invited to a contest in Japan.
Yep.
Because you're a contest guru back then.
Yeah.
So you get invited to a contest in Japan, and you're staying at my house at this time, and we have to scramble to get you a passport. And we were scrambling so hard that we even got to the post office where we were going to fill out all the forms. We got there late, and they were getting ready to close, and we had to get these forms done, and it's like a mad dash. And you keep asking me, this is what I remember, you're like, well, shouldn't I put your address so we make sure that it gets mailed to the correct place?
No, it was because I was filling out the form and they wanted to know all your information, and I was like, well, I don't want to put because you needed to put all your information where you're born and everything, and I didn't want all that information and then me fill it out and have it be sent to Massachusetts. So I'm like, Doyle, should I put your address so it gets sent there? And that's where the big mix-up was, and I'm like, yeah, of course. Like, I don't want my passport to be sent to Massachusetts, obviously. So I'm like, should I put your address? But then if I put your address, that's not where I was born or anything. So shit could get messed up, in the system.
Right.
All right. So you somehow changed this all around and made it.
I might have embellished the story a little bit, but the frustration, like the woman, these.
Oh, dude, I had like fucking like
the disgruntled postal worker that was trying to help us out. She was just like, hey, sir, we're getting ready to close. If you could hurry. And you're like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, I was losing my mind and like the pressure. I'm like, yeah.
So I guess this is the second time in this podcast. I'll formally apologize for embarrassing Biz in one of the most iconic videos.
Thank you. I get more shit for that than everything. I'm like, you guys don't even know. I'm like, dude.
I apologize for embellishing the story, but I wasn't completely making things up. The frustration was real.
Yeah, the frustration was real, but the frustration had nothing to do with any of it. It basically made me look like an idiot saying, should I put your address or mine? Like, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yes, okay.
That
Thank you. 18 years later, it's finally cleared up.
Dude, that's what these things are all about.
Yeah.
It's like clearing the air, and I sincerely apologize, but
that's fine.
Your friendship has always been really valuable to me, and I'm really psyched that we're both still here to be able to have these conversations. And
I got you back by rubbing dirty bugs on your face with a fucking squeegee in the middle of the desert.
I wanted to kill you.
I know. I've never seen, for you guys, I've never seen Doyle pissed off, but I pissed him off.
We were driving from Pennsylvania to Las Vegas in the DK truck, and I forget where the hell we were, somewhere like in the desert, and there's like nothing but bugs all over the windshield of the RV. And Biz is, we stop at a gas station, and Biz is cleaning all the bugs off of the windshield with a squeegee. And I look at the squeegee, and there's just bugs all over it. And I'm like, man, are those bugs? And he takes the squeegee, and he whacks me in the back with it. And I'm like, and I'd already spent like a month on the road with Biz at this point. I was just like, I wanted to kill, like brother type shit. Like, I was like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker right now. And it was, Muth had to like break us up. He's like, all right, you guys need to stop.
No,
right.
And do you remember what I said to you that made it worse or something?
Yeah. Take off your fucking skirt, Doyle.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, fucking take off your skirt, Doyle. Quit fucking being a bitch.
So yeah, that's the type of relationship that me and Biz have had.
That's pretty funny.
But yeah, dude, it's
cheers.
all good. 20 plus years of friendship.
Yeah.
So, shit, I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun.
That was a good way to end it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, cleared up a few things. Hopefully they made it that far.
Yeah. If you've listened, I'll put that at the beginning of the podcast.
Okay, cool.
It immediately clears the air. Because,
awesome.
people want to know about that stuff. But thanks a lot. Thanks so much for being on my podcast.
Awesome. Thank you.